Here's a story my wife told me. Oh, listen, maybe I can make this. Here, stop the share. There we go. Okay. Here's a story my wife told me. This story must have happened about 40 years ago. Huh? About 40 years. Hard to believe. Time passes, maybe even more. There was a terrible law passed in Israel called Mihu Yehudi, defining what is a Jew. And this law said that a Jew can be anyone that is converted in any way, even according to Reform, which Reform is not Judaism. It's not Judaism. It could be that they're Jews, but so of course that's not a conversion at all. And even more, they said even if a person whose father is a Jew, if your father is a Jew, then you're considered to be a Jew. What this is against the Torah, it's destroying all of Judaism. If there's no, right, the Torah was given, speak to the Jewish people, Daber ben Israel, and if there's no definition of what a Jew is, then there's all of Judaism is destroyed. Which that, by the way, is one of the big complaints against Christianity. That Christianity says that there's no real definition of a Jew. Anybody who wants to be, right? A Jew is a person that either your mother was Jewish, certified Jewish, or you were converted according to the Shulchan Aruch, according to Jewish law. That's what a Jew is. So, okay, anyway, so the state of Israel reached a new low that had never been in the history of mankind, and they wanted to redefine what is a Jew. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe was just, I don't know how to say it, just out of his mind. He said they're making a war against God. And it ended up that he was really the only one. All the other religious parties said, what do we care? We're not going to marry one of these, these people. Anyway, so he fought a singular battle. Like it says, the Mashiach will fight the battles of God. So he said, you have to change this. Okay, so my wife is a public speaker, very talented. So she was chosen with a bunch of other women, and they were going to go and see this minister, I think the minister of education or minister of the interior of Israel. Her name was Sarah Daron. That was her name, Sarah Daron. And they were going to speak to her about this. And they prepared themselves. They prepared, each one had 5 minutes to speak. And they called her up like a half year before. And they made sure that the slot was kept. And they called up, every week before. Are you sure we have the time? Yes, we do. So they got down there. And they wanted to talk to her about the importance of not making this terrible change in the definition of what a Jew is. It's called Mihu Yehudi, who was a Jew. Anyway, so they got down there to the office and the Knesset, whatever. And this lady, Sarah Dawn, comes out and they said, hello, we are there. She said, I'm sorry, I haven't got any time. I have an important message to go, a meeting to go to. And she left. That's it. And in order to make a meeting with this lady, they had to wait like months because she has a waiting line of a month. So she's so important. So that's it. So they were left with all the preparation with this lady's secretary. So of course they were all aggravated. They were all very angry. What's this? That's a way to treat a human being, at least, make another time. Tell us another time. I'm sorry, you have to wait. There's not another time. You have to wait a few months, whatever it is. So they were all yelling at the secretary. Who could they? They took out their anger on the secretary. So the secretary said, a lady said, listen, you don't have to tell me. I'm a secretary. It says, you don't have to tell me who the Lubavitcher Rebbe is. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's the Mashiach. So they looked at her. She was not a religious woman at all. Not a religious woman. Her shirt, whatever it is, her blouse was open and everything up to here. And she's not religious. Says the Lubavitcher Rebbe. They thought that maybe she was making fun of them. So they said, listen, we've got enough trouble. You don't have to make fun of it. She says, no. The Rebbe Lubavitcher Rebbe saved my life. How? Now, this is the story. She said that she went to America. This was like 2 years earlier, before she told the story. She had friends in California. And she went to these friends in California. She rented a car. And there was going to be some sort of a big party somewhere. They're making a big party. And she got directions. Those days, there was no, what was it? What do they call it? GPS. There was no Waze there. There's no directions. You got how people got along in the world, 5,000 years without a GPS. I don't know. But anyway, they got along. And so she got in her car. She has exact directions where to go. And she starts going. And in California, she went out of California. If you know what, just what is east of California, go outside of California, there's deserts, right? There's Nevada, there's all these places. So she's traveling, going in the desert and listening to the radio and singing and happy. And listening to the radio. Suddenly she realized, it was supposed to be like a 2-hour drive or something like that. And she's already been driving for more than 2 hours. So she doesn't see anything. So she figures, well, maybe she made a wrong turn. So she goes back, looks at the signs, and she can't figure out where she's at. So she tries one, then she drives, and then she's she's already been driving for like 4 hours, and it's starting to get dark. And not only that, she doesn't have that much gas. That's what she tells the story. And starts to get now in the desert when it gets dark, it gets cold. The sun warms up everything tremendously. It could be 100 degrees in the daytime, and in the nighttime, it comes down to like near freezing. So she's in her car. She's dressed like summer dress, summer dress, and she's in her car. And the car, she doesn't know where she is. It's dark outside. So she gets out of her car and she starts signaling. There's a big truck comes along. Signal the truck. The truck stops. The guy comes out and he starts, speaking, not nice to her, saying all sorts of sexual things to her and everything. So she jumps back in the car and drives off. But after about a half an hour, she runs out of gas. So now she's stuck in the road. Got no gas. There was no cellular phones back then. You couldn't call anybody. And she was stuck. So, what's she going to do? So the battery still worked a little bit so she could sort of warm up the car, but the battery was running out and the lights were starting to dim. And she didn't know what to do. And suddenly another truck stopped far away. And she got out of the car and yelled as she saw the person get out of the car. The truck was carrying a gun. She saw the gun was gleaming. She's carrying a gun. So she screamed out, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. She's not a religious Jew, but she's a Jew. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And the man yelled out, don't worry, Al Tidag, don't worry. I'm a Jew. And he said, no, sorry, it wasn't a truck. It was a car. A regular car came. The other car came, and the car stopped and saw her, and he got out with a gun. So he asked her what happened. What happened? She saw it was a religious guy with a beard. And I guess he was carrying a gun because for self-protection, whatever it is. But he didn't know somebody was stopped on the road. A lot of times that's how they rob people. But on the other hand, maybe not. Maybe it was somebody in need. So he stopped his car and he asked her what was going on. And she told him the whole story. He took her in his car and they got gas. They came back, or whatever it was. Anyway, so he saved her life. So she asked him, what happened? How is it that you were driving in this road in the middle of the night? No one drives in this road. So he said, well, it's very interesting. He said that there's a big convention in New York, and it's going to be in another week. And he and his friends, I guess when he stopped, he had his friends in the car also. He wasn't alone. He had three other Chassidim in the car. He says, we're going to go. It's like a 3-day drive. We're going to drive. In those days, people drove, right? The Chabad didn't have money. So they were going to drive. I guess maybe they had something to do on the way. They were going to drive to New York. And they got a message from the Rebbe. The Rebbe's office called them up and said, you should start driving now. Start driving now. And they said to the secretary, but the convention changed the time. No. It says, but it's only a 3-day drive. Why should we start off, 2 days beforehand? Says that's what the Rebbe wants. So we did it. We got our gear all together and we started driving, right? We don't know what we're going to do. When we get there, we have things to do also back home. So we pushed off all of our plans. All of a sudden we saw you. Obviously, that's the reason that the Rebbe sent us early. And she realized that it must have been that God heard her prayers because she was crying. right before that. She didn't know what she was going to do. And that God put the idea into the Rebbe's mind to send out his shluchim in order to save her. Because except for that, there's no logical reason why they would do such a thing like that. Why they would do such a thing like that. Not only that, usually when you travel from, they would travel in the daytime. They wouldn't travel in the nighttime. So he said, so obviously, so she said, you don't have to tell me who the Rebbe is. The Rebbe is the Mashiach. He heard my cries, and he was the one that answered me. He sent the shluchim in order to save my life. True story. I heard it firsthand from my wife. She told me the story. So true, they didn't get what they wanted from this Sora Daron, and I think she was deposed afterwards anyway. And but they did get this good story. Have a good day with Mashiach now.